Alright, this video is going to be on a Volvo fuel pump replacement. This particular unit here is a 2003 Volvo 60. So what we have here is actually the fuel pump. The fuel pump is secured with a ring like this. It's a plastic ring. It's not too bad compared to other makes and models out there. It's underneath the bottom of the seat cushion in the back seats, obviously, where the fuel tank is. And you remove these rings using a special tool. This particular one I picked up on eBay for like a very insignificant amount of money. It's very simple. It just goes into the ring like this and you unlock it. And it's very useful because you're gonna unscrew it to uninstall, and then you're gonna screw it back in to install. And there's actually two of them. There's a second piece to this puzzle, is right there. So over here we have the fuel pump, and the fuel pump failed on this vehicle for whatever reason. I'm not gonna speculate. May not be necessarily the car itself, because it's most certainly somewhat unusual. So here is the replacement fuel pump. When purchasing these, I recommend that you use the VIN number to order the proper part, because these ones were designed for the plastic fuel tank. Some of them supposedly have a steel fuel tank. Maybe the all-wheel drive models are different. And then some of them have this plug up here for the electrical, and some of them don't. Some of them have the electrical hookup on the other side of the assembly. So the second door is this piece here, and some of them have the electrical hookup on here instead of here. That's why you have to be extremely careful when you order the part. So because those Volvo 60s, S80s, Volvos in general, they come with all-wheel drive, so you have a drive shaft. Volvo splits the fuel tank in half. You know, obviously they're going to make the same fuel tank design for all of the models. So they split the fuel tank design. That's why you actually have two different floaters like this. One for one side of the tank and one for the other side. This is where the tricky part is. This piece here, it's going to connect on the other side of the tank. It's going to hook into this piece right here, like this. And this is spring loaded. So when you put this down, this piece here is going to make sure that it pushes this siphon. This is where the gasoline would enter the fuel pump assembly, and it would always be residing in this canister here. So fuel enters here, goes through this hose, it pumps in here first, and then from here you always have fuel ready to distribute. So in theory, even if you got no gas in your car, until you're completely out, there's always fuel in this canister to cool the fuel pump. That's another story. So the biggest trick is, how do you get this hose to go from one side to another side? I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. How do you get the hose to go from over there to over here? Because this is the other side that I was speaking. This is where the fuel enters the fuel pump assembly, and this is the plug that plugs in on the other side. Well, I'm just gonna make a quick shortcut because it would be very difficult to pull this through by hand all the way across under the car underneath the fuel pump. So what I'll do is I'll just attach something on the other side like this, And this should pull through just fine when I pull out the fuel pump assembly. Now I could have just kind of remanufactured the old fuel pump assembly, but I want to do this once. I don't want to do this more than one time. That's why I'm just going to replace the entire assembly. And now I'm going to drop this in here and pull the entire thing from this side right here. So now this should come out just fine, and it does, like this. So now that I have this cable, I'm gonna take the new fuel pump assembly, hook it in here, and pull it back through the inside the fuel tank out this side, complete this assembly, drop in the fuel pump back in there, and I'm basically done in about I don't know, about an hour of actual fuel pump assembly work. The rest of the interior assembly, that's a whole other story. That has to do with your experience and such. But having the right tools is going to make all the difference. This car is a little unusual. I've never seen this before. The fuel tank, I don't know how this is going to show, but basically the fuel tank is full of like little rocks. It's almost like as if the fuel tank was leaking, but it's not, because I can't possibly comprehend how these stones and rocks and metal shavings made it inside the fuel tank. I vacuumed before I took these covers off, these ones here, so somehow these debris are making its way into the fuel tank, and as a result the fuel pump failed. But that's another story.